We've been told that America was born in 1776, that it emerged from revolution, forged in liberty, and crowned with a name that echoed freedom across the world. But what if I told you that America wasn't the plan? That for a brief moment in history, a very real, very powerful faction tried to give this country another name entirely? A name not based on the Italian navigator Amerigo Vespucci, but on George Washington himself. And that name was Georgitania. This isn't speculation. This is shifted history. When the 13 colonies broke from Britain, choosing a name for their new nation wasn't just ceremonial, it was existential. What would they call themselves? The United Colonies of America? The Republic of Liberty? Or simply the States? Dozens of names were floated. But one gained traction among a small yet influential faction: Georgitania. A sweeping, regal name that honored the commanding general who had unified the colonies under rebellion. Not just a tribute, but a declaration. This wasn't a land named after a map maker. This was Washington's land. The Georgitania faction was discreet but potent. Letters from Washington's closest aides, including Alexander Hamilton and Nathaniel Greene, hint at the term's use in coded discussions. In one note, Greene writes, "Should liberty be made formal, and the land christened by its true father, then let it be Georgitania and none other." Even Benjamin Franklin, in a satirical pamphlet, mocked the idea by suggesting, "We may as well call it Georgitania and crown a king while we're at it." But it was John Hancock who led the opposition. Not out of hatred, not out of jealousy, but out of principle. To Hancock and his allies, naming the country after any one man, no matter how heroic, was too close to monarchy. They feared Georgitania would set the stage for a dynastic democracy. So Hancock pushed back, hard. And when it came time to sign the Declaration of Independence, he did something nobody expected. He made his mark loud and clear. Literally. His oversized signature wasn't just vanity. It was protest. It was defiance. It was a message. This is not Georgitania, not yet. In private, the naming debate grew heated. Some founders argued the name should honor ideals, not individuals. Others wanted permanence, legacy, branding. Washington himself was notably silent, at least publicly. But letters from Martha Washington suggest he was torn. In one passage, she writes, "George will not push the name, though others do. He says his sword is for liberty, not vanity. Still, I see the way he listens when they say it aloud." In the end, the name America prevailed. But not by much. In one now buried set of vote records, Georgitania came within just 2 votes of becoming the official name. So why don't we know this? Why is Georgitania absent from textbooks? That is where things get even stranger. Because a group known as the Hancock Foundation has worked, quietly, persistently, to scrub all mention of it from the public record. Founded in 1811, the Hancock Foundation presents itself as a civic archival society. But internally, it has one goal: preserve the purity of the Republic's name. Through private donations, document acquisitions, and influence over historical curriculum, the Foundation has made Georgitania a ghost word, known only to certain historians and deliberately omitted from mainstream materials. In fact, the few surviving references can be found only in early congressional notes and rejected drafts of Articles of Confederation. And every time they surface, they vanish. Letters go missing. Scans are corrupted. Researchers change careers. Coincidence? Or control? Of course, like all things in American politics, the end wasn't clean. It was compromise. Washington didn't get the country, but he got the capital. Hancock didn't lose his principles, but he lost his spotlight, and so subtle deals were struck. The capital was placed in a district bearing George's name, Washington, D.C. A southern territory was dubbed Georgia, conveniently overlooking the fact that a colony by that name already existed but now rebranded to honor the general statues were commissioned. Rivers renamed, the legacy preserved, without ever naming the whole. A quiet agreement. A buried battle. And yet to this day the echoes remain. Every time you hear Washington, the Capitol, the monument, the state, you're hearing a whisper of what almost was. Every time you fill out a form with Georgia, you're stepping into the outline of a country that nearly existed. And every time a historian avoids the topic, that's the Hancock Foundation doing its work. Why does it matter? Because history isn't just facts. It's branding. It's identity. If America had been Georgitania, would we have seen ourselves as a people? Or as followers? Would the cult of personality have emerged earlier? Would dynasties have formed? Or would we have lived in a version of liberty more tightly wrapped around one man's legacy? We'll never know. But the debate that shaped our name still shapes our nation. And if you've never heard of it, that's by design. This is Shifted History. Like, share, and subscribe for more warped timelines, forbidden truths, and the strange roots of everyday things. Click the bell to be the first to uncover the next shift. Alternate timelines, surreal conspiracies, history's greatest what-ifs, all in one place. This is Shifted History.